Anyhow, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Midge McClosky, and one of my numerous titles is the Executive Director of the Shawnee Playhouse. The Shawnee Playhouse was built in 1904, and from the very time that the ground was broken, they have been doing performing arts there. And I'm very proud to be part of the community that supports the arts in the way that we do here in Shawnee. Personally, myself as an actress, I worked professionally for many years in New York and all around the country. I studied voice, classical voice. I also studied dance and theater in New York City. I was a member of the Actors Equity Association and did theater all over. And when we moved out here to Pennsylvania, I wanted to have children, and guess what? I succeeded. That was a great thing. It was good. And after that, when they were growing, I wanted to have them in an arts program. And we do have many different arts programs available to us here in the community, but I was looking for more of a theatrical training. And the way that the world kind of rolled, I ended up working at the Shawnee Playhouse at the same time I was having my kids. And then I created something called the Shawnee Theatrical Arts Resource School. And the reason I did that was to bring in more children to the arts in our community. If I step back for a second and think about my very first set of auditions at the Shawnee Playhouse, we had one role available for a child, and 47 children auditioning. And there are a lot of different opportunities in the community to do performing arts, but they all want it to be that one character. And for me, that was a heartbreaking experience, because the arts should be something that we foster. If there's an interest, we need to foster it. And the reason I mention that is because, of course, if we do not foster it, what happens to it? It dies. And you cannot have the spirit of art die, because then the programming in schools will stop, because the legislators will say, my mother never supported that part of my arts, or something else will happen. So all of our actions do, of course, turn into the decisions that we live with in our lives. My talk today is about building communities through the arts, through theater, and I entitled it, Let the Children Lead You, because all of us who have children of our own, or grandchildren, or even are raising our neighbors' kids as we take them to their different courses and classes and sports, know that whatever the children are interested in, the family becomes interested in. And so we all know that if your child comes home with a football form, you're going to that football tryout, and they're going to be doing football for the next 10 years of their lives. If they come in and when they say they want to try out for a play, you also may have that same pit feeling in your stomach going, will this be the rest of my life? Will I be at rehearsal every night for, till 10 o'clock at night? And it's true. It's really, we have to let the kids lead us. So when you think about the difference between doing something that's in the arts for a community or versus doing something that's athletic or something academic, they do all have similar things that they give you with your children. You're able to give them the ability to get to know others, the ability to have responsibility, to be on time. So ask yourself, what is the difference if you're doing something artistic, something theatrical? What are the children taking from that that they wouldn't get from something else? And of course, the obvious answers we know. We know that they're getting confidence, correct? They may not get that confidence from playing football or from doing something else. They may not receive that. From doing theater and from doing dance and from doing the arts, the spoken word singing, you have an innate confidence that comes to you. You learn how to communicate with others. You learn how to get through difficult situations, things that perhaps you would walk away from in another situation, you learn to confront. So it teaches our children how to deal with all sorts of life lessons, and it teaches them to deal with disappointment. Disappointment in life is a necessary thing. No one gets everything they want, and if we do, they do not turn into good people, do they? So the disappointment of going to an audition and finding out that you are not the one chosen of the 47 is a heartbreaking act. So we had to find a way, I go back to that, find a way to kind of bridge that gap. So for my place at the Shawnee Playhouse, I work very hard to make sure we have enough programming available so that, yes, not every child is right for every role, but there is a role that is right for every child. And I try to find a way to foster that love and to make sure they're able to feel like they're giving their very best. As a result, we have very many different levels of theater opportunities. We have something that I call the Kids Cabaret that came the following year after those 46 children had broken hearts. And that first year we had about 35 children that came in the show with a microphone, singing rock music that they are so proud of for one performance. That's a very beginner level kind of performing, but it's wonderful. It feeds that and it fosters that desire to entertain. Then we have our children's theater programming. Last summer alone, we had over 150 children involved in our actual productions of the Willy Wonka Jr. and the Lion King Jr., Honk Jr. In addition, we have acting camps, and the camps are a great way for the kids to kind of try it out and get involved and see if it's something they're interested in. And as the children begin to grow into teenagers and become really serious about the arts, we have an internship program. And what is wonderful about this program is it teaches these kids whether or not they want to pursue this as a professional craft. We have not just one weekend of performances. You don't get to rehearse for 3 months and then put on a show like you do in school, where you are crying when the show is finished because you are so in touch with everyone and created such a wonderful relationship. For us, it becomes 12 performances, 15 performances, 36 performances of some of these shows that they're getting up and having to perform the same show day after day. And if they find that it is now no longer fun, they find that it is not something they want to do, it saves them from going down a path where they thought they wanted to be a professional and having, again, not being prepared for what life has to offer. And that is a very unique gift that we have there. If I want to look at what the real center of what the community growth that comes out of the Shawnee Playhouse is, however, it is not what we do there in that building. It is not what we have coming into us when the communities come watch the shows, or the family involvement, or the potluck dinners, or the great relationships that are formed. What we have is what happens to those children as they grow, and then they go back into your community and what they do out there. The gift that we are really giving in theater and in the arts to the community and building the community relationships are the children. Now, what I mean by that, if I go to any one of our high schools right now, and you go to just take a random club, or you take the class presidents or the student council, most of them I will know. I know most of these kids. They are becoming the leaders in their community. They are leading the different organizations. They are the top of their class. They understand the importance of hard work. They understand that if they want to achieve something, they have to put the time in. They understand that they need to stand up for things that they believe in, and it's just wonderful to watch them grow. The other thing that you'll find that's interesting with the community children that have performed at Shawnee is they're from all different schools. And so the connections that are built between the kids are not within their own school. And in a district like where we live, with East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg and Pocono Mountain and all of the other schools that work together, these kids will go to a sporting event and they'll come and they'll hang together, and they're all the theater kids. And they're great friends. So they're bridging a gap from different towns. They're bridging it across different activities. Many of these kids also do athletics as well as music, and they find a way to make it work because they're used to multitasking. So what I want you to plant into your mind as you take out of this, when you go into the community and you think about the arts, is that when we talk about building a community, it's not necessarily what you always thought it was. The community theater is not what's in the building. It's not bringing the children that are singing in front of their TV and you know that they have to get somewhere to perform. Of course it is. We want them there. The children who are shy and wrapped up in the curtains that we help to get out and come into the world, that's an important part of our work too. But I think the largest part and the biggest gift is being able to foster these children into wonderful, responsible young adults who take on leadership, responsibility, and even pride in not only what they're doing with the arts, but for everything that they do. So I want to encourage you to continue to support the arts and to bring the young children to the theater and to the art shows and to talk to them about the different things we have in the artistic community. So when we think about the gifts that are given to everyone who comes to the theater as a child, there is really nothing better than the gift of compatibility, of friendship, and of support and understanding. So I want to thank you for supporting the arts, and I want to thank you for having me here today. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.